love you.
No.
So we're live.
We're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast, and it's hosted by Northern Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Sam.
And I am the other host, the person that everyone loves to hate, the idiot that is Paul.
It's him,
It
right
is.
there.
Yes, it is the Super Paul, shall we say. Da-da-da-da. Yes, I'm going to keep on, unfortunately. Actually, a funny story. I'm trying to think, my first trip to Florida, I got the bus to the mall that takes an hour. And you know, when it goes through like some of the slums, some of the shanty towns in Florida.
Yeah.
Slums is a bad word, sorry. A young kid got on the bus, and he must have been only 13, 14. He had a Superman t-shirt that had Velcro on each side, and it had a cape. And I was like, I have forever looked for that t-shirt, but I have never found the Superman t-shirt with a cape. But yes.
Well, there's a job for you nerds. If you find the Superman t-shirt with the cape or even Velcro.
Yes. Because we all know I like Velcro, don't I, Chris? But
yeah.
But yes,
Oh,
tonight's
yeah.
episode is going to be, how do I put it, heartfelt, special, based on the man that is. And just before we start, I do think we've never really done this before, but I think this person really deserves this. So again, I'm just going to, as I said, put this little image up. So dedicated this episode to the legend that is Christopher Reeve. He made us all believe a man could fly. So just to take a moment in for the inspiration and what we are going to discuss tonight as well. So again, I think not just, like I say, with the legacy of the Superman films, just the legacy of the man himself. Just to take that moment. So yes, so taking one there. But yeah. So starting it off on a happy note.
Do you know what? I think it kind of sets the tone for this episode because I thought we were coming into Superman 1 and 2 because, you know, Superman has become big news recently with James Gunn's DC universe kicking off with its Superman episode. That is amazing. That is actually amazing. Sorry, I got really distracted by Superman flying across the screen. Not episode, I meant film. So we thought it would be great topic of conversation. It's one of Paul's favorites. Let's do Superman 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I didn't realize going into this how much of an emotional roller coaster it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, I suggested doing Superman 1 and 2. Because we said Christopher Reeve, but then we thought the other ones, it would be a little bit much. But you had an interesting add to that as well. Because I've watched it, but you haven't. You wanted to add the discussion about the documentary as well. So it's going to be like not in 3 parts, but in 3 little segments, shall we say. So we'll be doing Superman 1. We'll be doing both Superman 2 films. Because there's 2 versions of Superman 2. And we will have a discussion about the documentary that came out last year.
Yeah.
And again, I know I've said it on previous episodes, this documentary is probably one of the must-see documentaries that I can't recommend it enough. If you want to get a look backstage at a man that is not perfect, but
it wasn't perfect.
No, but a man that gives you hope.
Oh, that is such an excellent way. And it's not all Superman driven. Like, I know my sister said today, oh, is it worth watching? I was kind of put off by the whole Superman thing. And I was like, it's not, that's just like a very small percentage of the man who played him. He's much more than that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that because I can't get into it yet because I will literally start crying straight away. I want to talk about the fun and brilliance of Superman 1 and 2. So I'm
Yes.
going to do the disclaimer and then we're going to get on into this. So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Facebook page. You can join us in the Discord or the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism.
Oh, pressed the wrong button, sorry.
Dedications again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in true Sammy fashion, I have the taglines for Superman 1. Yeah. Superman brings you the gift of flight.
That's okay. Oh no.
This Christmas, you'll believe in miracles.
Right, okay.
The Man of Steel is real.
It's almost like you're sending up Lee's Tinder profile or something like that.
The movie that makes a legend come to life.
Yes.
And finally, you'll believe a man can fly.
Which is the most iconic saying in anything going.
Yeah.
And remember as well, this was 1978.
Yes.
This movie came out. So this is kind of predating everything like superheroes wise. This was a huge kind of like risk gamble for the studios as well, because it's not like today where you can't go to the cinema without seeing 15,000 superhero movies. Nobody was making these type of films. Comic books was still looked at or viewed as childish for kids. It wasn't seen as an adult type thing. It wasn't taken seriously at all.
Yeah, no, not in the slightest. So the idea of this came in 1973, and long discussions between DC Comics and the purchasers of this, who is Lila and his father, Alexander Salkid. I'm just going to refer to them as the Salkids, because otherwise I'll be saying their names constantly. And they went to the studios, and there was some talks. DC Comics were very much, yes, we want to do this. But here are some considerations we would like you to take as a Superman. Now, this is DC Comics list. Muhammad Ali.
Right, okay. He did fight him in the comics at least, so...
He did. Al Pacino.
Right, okay, bit short.
Wow. James Caan.
Interesting, I can see...
He was very seriously looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve McQueen.
Oh, no.
No. Clint Eastwood. Now you don't just think of Clint Eastwood then.
No, even
not
then.
Now.
Clint Eastwood then would look like he was going to rob you, not save you.
Oh yeah, that's true. And Dustin Hoffman.
What? So he's only about 5 foot tall.
Oh yeah, but this is like DC's. This is DC's.
You might as well have Chris
as
Superman. It makes as much sense.
So yeah, this is DC's list of actors. What the studio, or who the studio really wanted and tested and auditioned was Olympic champion Bruce Jenner.
Right, okay. I've heard that one, to be fair.
Because really
to be fair, though, I think Bruce Jenner says that every single chance he gets.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was nearly, but he was the athleticism was there. The acting wasn't.
No.
Patrick Wayne, who is the son of John Wayne, he was auditioned and he ended up dropping out of the auditioning process because John Wayne was diagnosed with stomach cancer and he left. The best ones, and I'm going to try and say this without laughing. This is two actors who lobbied for it. So they didn't get an audition. Studios actually laughed them out the building. Was Neil Diamond.
Right, okay. The singer.
Yes, the singer. And Arnold Schwarzenegger.
They would have had to dub him. They wouldn't have been able
They
to use
said
Arnie's voice.
it was Richard Donner who turned around and said, "You can't have an Austrian saying for truth, right, in the American way."
Truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah, you can't have it. No, it wouldn't have worked. But who they really had their eye on was James Caan, James Brolin, Christopher Walken, Nick Nolte, John Voight, and Perry King. Now, Perry King is in Superman, but an unknown. They kind of like were thinking we may want to go down the unknown route, and that's when Christopher Reeve came in.
Yeah.
And Christopher Reeve was auditioned as Christopher Reeve was in 77. He was screen tested in 77.
Yeah.
And they were like, he's got the height, he's got the look, he's just not got the build.
Yeah, that was the thing, because when you see Christopher Reeve like before Superman, he's tall, he's got like the chin, he's got the characteristics. I think he held himself a certain way as well. Like that was the thing with Christopher Reeve.
He's very proper, wasn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, he was very slight. He was very slender, like me, shall we say?
Yes.
No,
he was very slim, and he was told if he got the job, he would have to wear a muscle suit.
Yeah.
And he just went, no. Like and I'm not going to go to the documentary, but just a little bit about him is where he comes from. His family wouldn't allow that to take place. He is very practical in his art, so that wouldn't have been an option for him. So that's why he buffed up.
But what people don't know about Christopher Reeve as well, he's a thespian. He's a stage actor. He's very much
Juilliard trained.
Yeah, he's very much like an actor's actor, shall we say? He was very much of the yuppie scene as well, so he was very la-di-da, shall we say?
He went to Juilliard with Robin Williams, which I'm sure we mentioned on the Robin Williams episode.
Yeah.
But to think that them two trained as Shakespearean actors, both of them, take that in.
Yeah.
Robin Williams trained to be a Shakespearean actor. It's mind blowing. So that's how Christopher Reeve became Superman. Now, the director's chair was very much up for grabs.
Yes.
And before Richard Donner became a name, there was another name that was being branded about. Steven Spielberg.
Yes. I think Spielberg had his hand in this as well.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But they didn't want him to take the director's chair.
No. Because you can tell you can tell with the story that they're told in Superman 1, and let's before we get into it, like the origin story as well, but we'll talk about that afterwards. But
he had his hand in, and you can tell there's some influence there, but they didn't want to put him in the chair because what had he done?
Jaws.
Spielberg wasn't a name yet. No, it wasn't until Jaws came out.
Did Jaws come out the same year as this one?
No, it was just. It had to be a little bit later because with Jaws being such a success, it kind of prompted them to offer the position to Spielberg.
75 Jaws came out, and this was 78.
So Jaws comes out, it becomes a success, and the studio then goes, "Oh shit! Well, what are we doing?" And Spielberg went, "Fuck you guys! I'm off. I'm going to go and do Close Encounters of the Third Kind." And Spielberg goes on his way. There's a long who and how and what not to do with Richard Donner, but he eventually gets the job. I'm going to have to let Loki in before he busts me door open.
That's fine. Just while you're running away, Sammy, as well.
Yeah.
So we've had a few versions of Superman.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Reeves is not the first version.
By no means.
No. What again? I know I'm biased with this type of topic and this the actor who plays him now. Who is your favorite Superman Like, would you say, like, I know we're just watching the Christopher Reeves one now, we're talking about it, but if you're going to
Yeah.
look back and like everything that's went before, everything that's going, what would, when you say Superman, what comes to your mind?
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve.
I would have said that before this weekend
Mm-hmm.
and now. I'll have no issue with Cavill's
Mm-hmm.
portrayal of
Yeah.
Superman. But what I really do love as well is George Reeves'
Yes. Mm-hmm.
portrayal of Superman.
Yeah.
That is that is very comic book of the time. Like,
Very much. Yeah.
and I do like that because you know me,
J-
I love a golden oldie.
Faster than a speeding bullet, he can jump over buildings in a
Hey,
single bound.
he could be on the classic side of Nerdy Up North, and
Yeah.
also, you know, that talk about scandals and
Oh.
mysteries. He had an
Mhm.
abundance. Like, his death is clouded in a whole
Mhm.
source of mystery. He
But
kind of okay.
I was going to say it's an interesting one as well because I know people always laugh, but Ben Affleck technically has played
Yeah,
Superman and Batman.
Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
there
he
was
played
George.
George Reeves.
Yep.
It's a brilliant film. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. If you want to watch it and get an idea of it, it's really good.
Mhm.
You dedicated this episode to Christopher Reeve, and in
Mhm.
rightly so. We come here to celebrate the man and the stories and himself, but they don't come if you don't have two other men who I really feel before we get into the film should have a mention,
Mhm.
which is Jerry Siegel and Joe. I want to say his name right, Shuster.
Mhm.
These are the two gentlemen who created Superman back in 1938.
Mhm.
Um, he actually was. They started out. It wasn't DC. He wasn't a DC character. He was just plotted around all over the place. He was actually sold to Warner Brothers and DC for a very, very small amount of money.
Mhm.
And they spent their entire lives
Mhm.
until the day they died fighting for their copyright of their intellectual property.
Mhm.
And they died very poor men.
Yeah.
And I completely, anything to do with Superman, dedicate to them too. There's far too many stories of comic book creators who have, you know, brought these amazing characters to life for you to enjoy, and then for somebody else to take complete and utter control of them
Mhm.
and gain out of them.
Yeah.
They're not the first. They
No,
won't be the
and they won't be the
last.
last. It's getting harder for them
No.
now because people are getting a bit clued up and stuff. People are a bit
Well,
don't want to be signing away, uh, like what
good.
could be the thing. So
Yeah.
that I know they are
I,
advocating for it as well because a lot of comic book artists was like, I'm getting signed by a major label, but then when they sign, they're losing the rights to said
they lose a
character.
lot.
Yeah.
I know Todd McFarlane
Mm.
is a huge on this subject. He, especially intellectual property,
Mhm.
you know, he has created some of the most iconic characters, and he makes sure he keeps them. They
Mhm.
are his property. Again, like I said, they're not the first, they won't be the last. And it's sad. And it's there was a small win a few years ago with Bill Finger,
Yeah.
who, if you don't know, is the creator of Batman.
Mhm.
If what's the other guy called? I can't remember
Bob
his name. I hate
Bob
him as
Kane.
well. Bob Kane. Fuck Bob Kane. Fuck Bob Kane and everything that Bob Kane stands for.
Mhm.
Bill Finger is the reason you have the Cape Crusader who looks the way that he did. Because if you had Bob Kane's Batman, he'd literally look like a bat. Like, he
Man
looked
bat.
terrible.
Yeah.
Man bat.
Mhm.
So yeah, and Bill is now on. It's
Mhm.
not just, you know,
Yeah.
portrayed for Bob Kane. It's Bill Finger too.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that they were mentioned in this because I think it's really important that the two creators of this, who, you know,
Mhm.
got shafted very badly.
Yeah.
However, fun fact: they got a private screening to this movie.
Really?
The two of them, yes,
Yeah.
they were actually asked to be involved in it. However, they were 90 years old at the time. And declined. However, they got a private screening
Mhm.
and they adored it.
Yeah.
They give it their seal of approval.
Mhm.
They felt like it was done the way they intended for
Mhm.
Superman to be seen.
100%. And I think when we talk about comic book movies or people's versions of comic book movies. It never quite gets like what we read as fans. We have a certain kind of image or impression, and I think to do Superman, and again, lots of people might disagree with me. It's probably the hardest one to transition to screen because he is one of the most unrelatable heroes. Because
Yes.
when someone is so perfect, when someone is so powerful, like literally, when you watch these movies, like his powers is a joke. It is crazy thing. So it's hard for you to feel sorry, or hard for you to kind of relate to that person. And this movie, like especially Superman 1, they get literally everything so right from the first few minutes of the movie to how, like, even how ridiculous the movie is at the end. Like everything, and again, it's not a perfect movie. There's some bits in where you laugh
No.
out loud and like crazy and stuff because it's absolutely ridiculous. But then you've got to remember this was made in 1978, where a lot of the effects that they were trying to do was basically built and created for this movie. Like
Yeah.
normally they would just not, like, trying to make a man fly. They wouldn't have a clue how they did this, and the effects they put in there still are used in today's practical effects to make people look like they're flying and floating. Yes, there's some ridiculous moments in this movie which we'll talk about, but if you watch it, it is so pure. It is
It is.
so full of just magic.
That
and
is
and I
such a
think,
good word to use.
and when we started this podcast, we joked around about certain things, and you coined a phrase. This movie embodies movie magic. That's as simple as is. It's basically, if you like went to a show and you wanted a magic show, this movie is movie magic. Yeah.
Completely. Just to answer Nathan Young, he says that's how Image Comics was made. Just about the all my brain's gone to mush. The comment I made earlier, I would have gone into the whole image revolution, but we really don't have time. But I do know where that's referenced from.
That's another podcast for another day.
That's oh god, yeah, and you don't want to get me started on that.
Thank you, Jim Lee. Thank you, Todd. There's a few other names we could reel off there, but yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so this movie has a cast of I could dare say royalty
100%.
in some form of a way.
Yeah, there was peoples that were brought in to sell the movie because they were scared that the movie wasn't in. Like Marlon Brando was brought on just by pure name. That was the only reason Brando was on, and he got paid. He got paid big bucks.
Oh gosh. So Mario Puzo, if you recognize that name, that is the screenplay writer for The Godfather. He kind of put the name forward for Brando. Brando then gets offered 3.2 million. Just take that in. 3.2 million to do this movie for 12 days. He's only on set for 12 days. And Brando at the time was trying to get a film off the ground to do, with his stance on American Native Americans and treatment. And he was trying to get, and he was like, oh, perfect, that, because nobody would touch him studio wise. So he was like, no, that's perfect. I can completely finance this myself. And he did it. But he came with rules. One of them rules was that he refused to learn his lines. Which blows my mind when you watch his performance, because it's
he has
absolutely
a lot of dialogue.
He has a lot of, and Richard Donner is, because a lot of work is done with Brando where you don't have to have him on screen. It's only the beginning part with the trial, which by the way makes no fucking sense to have it in there, but hey ho, we move.
But no, there is a point for that, because they were filming Superman.
Is there?
They were filming Superman 1 and 2 together.
They did it simultaneously, which is how you get your second version of Superman 2. But it has no bearing on the plot whatsoever.
No, it's literally leading in, because I think the plan was literally, I know what happened at, like, say, they ran out of budget, so they had to stop at 70% of Superman 2. They just stopped filming because, like, look, we need to finish the first one, or we're not going to afford to do either. So literally, they were supposed to, Superman 1 was supposed to come out, then Superman 2 was supposed to come out 6 months after. So this was basically like a full two-parter there.
I'm sorry, Lee. Did you
Mhm.
just have to Google Richard Donner to find out what movies he did before you made that comment?
No, he's watched the
Just
Goonies.
wondering.
He's watched the Goonies today. Don't worry.
Just, just what today?
Yeah, he's watched it there with Bex.
Oh, bless him.
Mhm.
He also did The Omen as well. Just to put
Just
that
to
out
throw
there.
that one. Yeah.
Just to put that out there.
Mhm.
So yeah, so he does this movie 3.2 million, 12 days of work. And when the movie, because I don't think he expected this to do very well,
Mhm.
because that was the only negotiation he did was the 3.2 million.
Yeah.
He then finds out, oh shit, this made money. Where's my money?
Mhm.
So he sued Warner Brothers and everyone else for a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And he, there was points in the court. I was reading some of the transcript of the court case, and there's points where it really could have been thrown out. But they settled,
Mhm.
and he got 15 million off the back
Mhm.
of that.
Apparently, the reason he tried to change his contract for two, where if they used his likeness or like if he was going to be in two, he wanted percentages of the market of what the movie made. So that's why he
Right.
changed that, and that's why in the final one he's not in the second one at all. Like they literally cut everything out of Brando because he caused that much of a stink. But yeah, like Brando wasn't like he didn't know what Superman was. He didn't care. He just, as I said, got paid. He turned up. Didn't want anything to do with the cast. Like,
No, no. Do you want to know? Do you want to know a really fun fact?
mhm,
Really fun fact. The guy who had to take him from set every day,
mhm,
from to his trailer, back to his and vice versa. Know who that was?
no,
Carly Earls,
right?
Princess Bride.
Bless him. What a job
Yeah,
driving
that was
driving
his first
Brando.
one of his first jobs, and he was like,
Mhm,
"If that didn't disillusion my take on Hollywood,
yeah.
I'm surprised I went into acting at all." But yeah, he wasn't a great person. Christopher Reeve, not on the film, like he was incredibly, he was incredibly kind during the
Mhm,
filming, but afterwards, and many years later, and possibly even as Brando's dead,
mhm,
made comments of it was all about the money for him. He wasn't a very nice person to work with. He's just he's not
mhm.
he took for granted something that was incredibly special to him.
Yeah.
Because there was one thing I read where it was his he's so elegant in how he talks.
Mhm.
Um, he
Actually,
said that this.
sorry, I'm
Oh,
sorry to
God.
interrupt just because Lee's brought it up. Yeah, David Prowse was Superman's trainer in the gym. So Darth Vader trained Superman
Yes,
to get bulked. Yeah.
yeah, I've got that written down in my notes. Thank you.
Lee got there,
Um,
sorry.
Lee got there first, but no, he said it was something along the lines of this movie opened doors
Mhm,
for. How could he knock down an opportunity to be a part of something that was going to literally open doors for him?
mhm,
Something that I shared with Paul at the weekend, that a certain thespian actor, horror icon, fantasy icon, Sir Christopher Lee turned down the role of General Zod.
That would have been interesting. Lee would have ate it up. I would have seen, but Terrence Stamp as Zod was,
Oh, mwah,
yeah.
breathtaking. But he ended up, all because he ended up going to play Captain America 2,
Mhm.
Death Too Soon of 1979. He actually moved it. He was when he moved to Hollywood for his tax exile because he didn't want to return to England for
Bless him.
taxes. Oh, bless you, Christopher Lee.
But let's talk about the main reason why I chose this movie. Like,
Yeah.
because we could have just went straight to Superman 2 because there's abundance of things we can talk about Superman 2. But watching back now and watching back over the last 2 days and watching Superman with Nick last night, we absolutely like. There's not very often when we're both very silent watching a movie because we're so engrossed and loving it.
Mm-hmm.
But the origin story, we've had so many different origin stories. We've had Uncle Ben dying. We've had, like say, Captain getting juiced up. We've had Tony getting his suit. But seeing, like say, Clark or Kal-El, shall we say, come to Earth in one of the
Mm-hmm.
craziest looking spaceships that you've ever seen. seeing how Martha and Jonathan Kent find him and instantly think, "Oh, it's a baby come from thing. We're American. We'll just say it's ours. No one will ask any
No one will
questions."
know.
um,
No one will know. They'll never know.
but like, and again, this would never happen these days. Seeing like a child's penis on screen as well was a bit shocking. Like full frontal, I
Yeah.
was like, wow.
Wow.
They went there,
Yeah.
but like I say, it was the 70s, so they were a little bit more liberal. Um, but that origin of like say going from Carlisle to getting Clark to getting him like the lessons he's taught by his father and Martha and stuff aren't so in your face, or it's not always like, oh, with great power comes great responsibility, like say it's not that
Oh
kind of line.
no.
It's subtly done, it's beautifully done. It's like
I think
it's just like having the conversation. Just because you can do something
doesn't
doesn't
mean
mean
you
you have to
should.
yeah.
Exactly. It was a very good Spider-Man did a very good way of explaining that in Civil War, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because what people had seen of recent when Superman's told just because you can, you shouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
is when Kevin Costner did it in Man of Steel, and it was really blatant
Yeah.
and blunt and to the point. There was no heart behind it. So to hear that when Tom Holland said it, it was like heart, like, oh yeah, I kind of get what you mean. But to go back and watch Jonathan Kent see it in,
Mm-hmm.
as a caring father
Yeah.
should be, not the way that sorry, Kevin Costner's performance always makes me giggle in that movie because he's such a twat.
Yeah. It's like the guy who played Jonathan Kent, Glenn Ford, like
Yeah.
he was so loving, like, and he was only a small role, but you can see how Clark grew up to being the Clark he was because of that family dynamic, because of the love, because of the care, and how, like, say, that he was given, like, say, the true morals and belief through
Hmm.
that, like, say, that couple. And again, seeing like Smallville, in like say the thing, seeing Lana, for a brief second as well
Yeah.
was quite,
Seeing a very young Lois Lane, which really icked me a little bit. I was like, okay, could we not have made her a little bit older to fit the age Clark is now? But never mind. That kind of did it us a little bit.
yeah,
The my my version that I watched was 3.5 hours long.
right. The first one,
Yes.
three and a half.
Had to have been because I started watching it about 8 o'clock and we
Right,
started talking and it didn't we were talking towards the end of it and I told you I'd finished at 11:30.
right. Because the runtime I've got 2 hours and 23.
It fucking wasn't.
Right, okay.
But I had bits in there where um Clark was looking for the spaceship.
Yep.
There was a lot of bits in there that felt like they were drawn out, lengthed out, and added
Mhm.
in.
Right.
Um, because I honestly felt like you could have really cut this movie down
Mhm.
if you took all that out.
I see. I love that element as well because like that's when you're really feeling like who Clark is, and again, I know at the time, like now we've been told, like we've seen the Superman story, we've seen like how many versions of Superman is, we've seen how he becomes Superman like through Man of Steel and stuff like that. We get that. It's again that's why Marvel's had such a home run with Spider-Man because they haven't done the whole
They've
um
stopped it in its
yeah,
tracks. Yeah.
so they haven't done the get full. We're going to kill this person, but this was the first time I've seen it. First time of kind of realizing it. So you needed that breath, you needed that kind of energy. The thing that made me laugh the most is when Clark's running next to the train, and it's the most
Hmm.
ridiculous looking run you've ever seen. It's like,
Oh yeah, it looks like something that the Flash would do now.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, it looked a bit silly. What I loved is the difference between Clark and Superman.
yeah.
So,
Because
oh, go on.
everyone argues the same thing. They say, "Oh, how could you not tell that Clark Kent is not Superman just by
Because
Superman.
But it wasn't just
No,
that though.
no, it's
And
not. No.
this is what I realized when watching this on Friday night was the amount of effort and work he put in to his Clark
Mm-hmm.
character was it was actually, if you think about it, his character is more Superman,
Mm-hmm.
which because Clark is who he's always been, or all he remembers.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been up until recent that he's found out this whole "I am Superman" thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the is it the guy trying to? I know what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Clark Kent version who is, he's fumbling, he's daft,
Yeah.
but he's really laying it on thick.
He's a clumsy nerd. Let's be
He
honest.
really is. Or is he really trying so hard to be this superhero type person? Like it's almost like he's trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
which each individual person is, and you're there watching them do it.
It's almost the opposite effect, like because people have the conversation about Michael Keaton and Batman. Michael Keaton is an amazing Batman, but a terrible Bruce Wayne. Because Bruce Wayne, he's not like in the movies, he's not a playboy. He's basically just Batman without a mask.
Yeah,
That's the thing. With Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman and Clark Kent, they are two completely different people and different
yeah.
personalities, and it's so amazing to see. It's so subtly done as well. It's like when Clark's in the building with Lois, and he's just because Lois has just had a big flight with Superman, and it's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. It's romantic. It's so stupid. It doesn't even
So
make sense.
beautiful.
It defines the laws of gravity that he can just
Yes.
hold her finger and she can fly. Because Nick was like, does she transport powers through thing? I was like, shh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But yeah,
Stop, Nick.
but then you get Clark who knocks on the door because he's going to take her out for a date, and he's got his hat on, he's got his glasses, and he's like shoveled in himself, and he just goes like this because he's thinking about telling Lois, and he
Mm-hmm.
goes and he rises, and you see him like coming
Yeah.
up, and you see the transformation that again it's the confidence, it's what you exude.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's so breathtaking and brilliantly done. It's just so subtle. It's like you wouldn't see them person because
Yeah.
even though Clark Kent's a 6 foot odd hulking man, but the way he carries himself, he's
Mm-hmm.
invisible, and
Yeah.
even Lois and Perry have conversations with him saying, "I don't know if you're cut out for this type of line of work. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
cutthroat. You need to be confident. You need to go for the jugular. You need to be aggressive." And Clark's get, "I don't think I need to be like that, sir." It's
Oh, I love him as Clark Kent. I love
mm,
the fact that Lois Lane can't spell.
yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments. I know
Mhm,
Margaret Kidder is getting a lot of shit in pop culture over the years, and I just want to say fuck you all.
mhm,
She is incredible in this film. She was incredible in Black Christmas.
mhm,
Um Unfortunately, she had a very late bipolar diagnosis and was not medicated correctly, and things got a little bit out of control,
mhm,
and then it was a running fucking joke for a very long time that she was crazy. She was not
yeah.
crazy by any stretch. But she is absolutely amazing in this. My
Mhm.
favorite line of hers is when he catches her and he's going, "I got you, ma'am." And she's got, "You got me? Who's got you?" But
But
it's that fucking voice that
mhm,
sounds like she's smoked about 50, 60 cigarettes a day.
yeah.
I love it.
She embodies Lois Lane so much as well because, as you said, she's a go getter. She's feisty. She's doesn't hold her tongue. She's very much everything that Lois Lane was in the comics as well.
Yeah.
But again, it's weird as well when you see it like getting introduced to Superman. She becomes a lovesick puppy dog to the Man in Steel. But again, like to be fair, if Christopher Reeve was flying down carrying me about, I might resort to that type of puppy dog esque as well. So I can't really comment
Absolutely.
too much about that. But yeah,
No, she was great, and I look again. I say going back to the spelling thing, she was terrible at spelling, but it didn't stop her from being a reporter because that's what she wanted to do,
no,
even though her spelling was terrible.
Yes.
I love that. I really do love that about her, especially as a dyslexic. I love the fact that she didn't allow that to stop her from going ahead and becoming the reporter she wanted to be.
No, definitely. And again, when you're going through the full cast, like the people who were in this, like I love the guy who played Jimmy Olsen as well. Like and Jimmy Olsen is in the comics is an innocent, is a lovely, he's like gee willy guys, and like proper happy go lucky guy, and that's the way he was portrayed in like both of these movies as well. Like he idolizes like not just Superman, but he looks up to Clark as well. It's kind of like the person who he sees he wants to be. But with any type of like main like hero type story, it lives and dies by the bad guys as well.
Oh,
So
does it just?
yes, so unfortunately, well, I say the word unfortunately, it's a version of Lex Luthor that again, it's not the Lex Luthor that I was used to. It was definitely a different version with Gene Hackman. It was more con man than a sadistic, like megalomaniac. It was more just like he had no scruples, but he was more like trying. He reminded us of a double glazement salesman.
Do you know, you could put him in the Batman universe and he would fit in perfectly.
Hmm.
But to be Lex Luthor,
Hmm.
hmm. Gene Hackman wouldn't shave his hair,
Yeah,
so he wouldn't have the Lex Luthor look. But he's almost too comic booky
yeah.
for this movie. Like he would fit in perfectly in comic book movies now,
Hmm.
but not that. I
Actually,
don't know. It's just
I think he would fit in the Adam West Batman very well.
And do you know what? Maybe that's what he was looking at. You've got to think
Mm.
source material for them at the time on superhero movies is
Mhm.
Adam West Batman.
Yeah. So,
So maybe that is what he's looking at as a villain.
but it's just when he walks around saying, "I'm Lex Luthor, the world's greatest criminal," and stuff like that. It's just Lex is more sinister. Lex is intelligent. He's portrayed as intelligent in this, but in a smarmy and a way that kind of like it's like you wouldn't
Hey,
ever think he was ever going to get the better of Superman.
no,
That
but
was the thing.
he was better than Jesse Eisenberg. That's for damn sure.
I see Jesse Eisenberg was still a bit more sinister. There was a little bit more. I
No.
again,
Ugh.
different opinions, different things, but I didn't mind Lex in this one. But when we get into talk about Superman 2, that's when they got the villains right. They got the bad guys right.
Christ, did they?
Yeah.
Took a page out of Star Trek on that one, mind. I'll give them that. It was they look definitely like Star Trek villains,
Hmm.
but you do get a glimpse of them at
Yeah.
the beginning of this. A beautiful face of Terrence Stamp.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
they're not throughout this whole movie. I tell you what really threw me
Hmm.
was the opening.
Right.
Very, very opening.
Hmm.
The kid reading a comic book.
That was added on.
Right. Oh, I'm
That's
so pleased
yeah.
because I was like, that's so weird.
Because when I think I must have watched the same copy as you. Because after I played it, I was like, "That's not the Superman I remember." So I went back
Right.
think that was watching a documentary.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
I thought initially. I was like, oh, have I clicked on the Christopher Reeves documentary straight away?
yeah. So, but yeah, that was a bit of I think must have been like for a special edition or something that was added in. I didn't go back and look and try and look into it, but that wasn't the Superman I remember as a kid or when it was on TV. So I think it was something that might have been added. But
Right.
I know we've missed quite a chunk, but like just talking about the opening credits for this as well. Like going back to the
Like,
day where you get the titles and it lasts for like 7 or 8 minutes rather, rather than like the 30 seconds we're getting now, and it showcases everything and it gives you the score so you know
oh, that
you're
John
in.
Williams
Yeah.
score
Oh, musically this film is up there with some of the best scores.
up there. We'll get into this. I didn't want to bring John Williams up until the second one because there's even it's not his score in the second one,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
this was a dream come true for the man.
Yeah.
This is iconic. And I played a game with Paul and a few others the other night of can you sing the theme tune?
Sing the
And it
theme.
was think the theme tune. Can you sing the Indiana Jones theme tune.
Da 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 da.
Can you do the Star Wars
Oh no,
theme tune?
you've done it again. Actually, I
I
should have
know I have,
practiced.
because that's the fucking
Mhm.
game.
Yeah. But as soon as you think of Indiana Jones, it stays in your head forever. It
Da,
never leaves.
da, 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 da. Bum, bum, da, 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 da. Got it?
Yeah, got
Yeah?
it now. Yeah.
Now do the Superman one.
No.
Can't?
and it's in my
You
head.
actually can't do it.
No.
Try it at home, guys. You can't do it. If you do the Indiana Jones, Star Wars, you'll struggle on Star Wars, but you will eventually get there.
Yeah.
It's the Superman one you can't do.
Mhm.
But the old John Williams like
Mhm.
songs as well. But yeah, John Williams' score running through this, and it was lovely to have a movie of actual. These are all your actors, like bam, right in your face. Not 50 million production
Producing.
companies
Yes.
that are involved in this movie.
Yeah. It was all about the cast, and I think
Yeah.
Richard Donner's name popped up a few times, like for the credits, which
A couple, but
yeah.
I was looking at the names of the people who were in the movie. That I was like, oh, I like that.
But I
Yeah,
think
I really love the opening of this.
yeah, but I think with the names of the people in, they were like say had to be in certain orders. That I think Marlon Brando's was the first one. I could be wrong.
No, of course it was.
But as I said, we talked like say the greatest one in my opinion, because you'll probably say Captain America's is your favorite origin story. Am I right or am I wrong? Right?
No, no.
Okay. I thought that
Absolutely correct.
Yes, I thought that would have been the case. But yeah, for me, this is my greatest origin story. And then, as you said, the whole play with this is basically once it gets into Superman and you see the Man of Steel, it
Mhm.
it very much takes flight. And I'm sorry to use that word.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. It runs in with the action scene where you get him saving Lois from the helicopter, which again is an amazing stunt, and it's so well done.
It's so brilliant. It's the coincidence of him being in the building at the time, and it's even looking at the disaster and what's actually happening. He's still fumbling around as the Clark Kent that he is, and he's like, oh, and the fact that he goes past the phone box,
Yeah.
looks at it, and goes, and then walks away. And then he comes back as the confident Superman and saves Lois. But he's and then he goes and saves the cat.
Yeah.
And he's like to the kid, oh, the cat just might want adventures too, but let's not hold it against him.
But he goes through the whole city though. That's the thing. That's what I love about it, because this is him realizing that he's out now as Superman. He's saved Lois, and he's like, I'm going to fly.
Yeah.
He gets the guy climbing up the building, which is hilarious.
That was so funny.
And he gives it to the police officer. Doesn't know what they're doing. He's got the car chase, and he's just standing on the hood and like. No, sorry, in the ship that and they all try and gang up on him and like hit him on the head with a wrench, and he's basically doesn't even flinch. And then he comes to the cat in the tree, and the cat's, bless him, the cat's dead now because it's past that age, which is a sad
very
thing.
much so. But it's adorable. But and a lot of people are like, oh, what a coincidence! You get Superman comes out and all this crime takes place. Maybe it's a case of he's had to come out because he has to save Lois, but he can only do it the way that with the suit on. And then he realizes how really shit Metropolis actually is because of all this crime that's taken place. And it's like, oh, maybe I should just stay as this, thing. Maybe he had no intention. It was just a one-time gig, but it was good. I really enjoyed that sequence of events of like one thing after the other. It was like, God, his night's never gonna end.
And again, this movie could have went wah wah at the end, because as I said, with the ending, with a lot of superhero movies, because you've got to ramp up and get the tension and get like say
there's got to be a payoff at the end.
There's got to be the danger level. And how do you have danger? Because this is again not to shit in it, but this has always been my issue with the Captain America movie, because it ramped it up and it got to the end and there was no danger. It was like, who's going to beat this man? Like army? No. Is the Red Skull going to beat Captain America? Fuck no. He's defeated everything. No. So basically, there was no kind of like sense of urgency or sense of danger.
I get that.
It was a plot point to get to where we got with the Avengers, which we'll talk about next week.
Shameless plug.
But with Superman, they went big. They were like, okay, what can we do to kind of showcase how powerful and the danger levels. We'll get Lex Luthor, who's basically going to send 2 nuclear bombs to completely two places to try and separate, so people couldn't like try and stop it. So one was going to destroy New Jersey, New
New
Jersey,
Jersey?
and the other one was basically going to destroy, hit in LA and basically hit a fault line and basically destroy the whole coast. So he was going to have his own new coastline where he's bought all the properties because he's, like as he said, he's a con man, he's a realtor, he wants to make money, which is again is
And live
hilarious.
underground.
He makes this. He gets told how long Superman's been on the Earth. He works out and he puts two together and discovers kryptonite and says, "Oh, this is from their planet, so this must be Superman's weakness." So that's
Just
just putting it together there, and he's like, "Oh,
he's not that fucking clever, people.
but he does. He puts he puts 77 together and gets two. But yeah, it's a weird jump from that to there. But again, we'll go over it. Movie magic, because
We move.
yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
move through it. And Superman is in real danger and seen him in peril when he gets showed kryptonite, which is done like Christopher Reeve's performance there is fucking amazing.
When he puts that necklace around his neck and he just topples. It's like he had a boulder attached to his neck and it just pulled him down.
Mhm.
It was brilliantly done.
Yes, and then we get the whole drama. Like I know people have probably seen this. If you haven't seen it, he gets help by Miss, oh, what's she called, Miss Eve Teichmeister or something like that. Miss,
Yes.
yeah, I can't pronounce her name. But, like I say, she's the damsel that loves Lex Luthor, or one of Lex Luthor's cronies, who doesn't want a mum to die. So she takes the necklace off Superman and makes Superman promise that he's going to save her mum first. And
Mm-hmm.
as Superman doesn't lie, because he is all about truth, justice, and the American way, so he fulfills that promise. He sends the first nuclear bomb into space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that one will come back to us in the conversation a little bit later. The second one, he's not there in time. It goes off, it blows up, and we start seeing the destruction. And we going, fuck, how is he going to stop this? This basically, like the Earth crumbling and losing California, losing LA, losing San Francisco. He goes underground in the fault lines and the tectonic plates and starts pummeling them back together. That's how
Yes, he
powerful.
does.
Magma does not fucking mess with Superman. Superman can take the hotness. His suit is made out of some magic shit that doesn't burn.
Yeah.
So he's fucking with lava, putting rocks back together. Um, the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge starts falling apart, and a school bus full of kids is teetering over the edge. So after he's busy putting the Earth back together, he goes to save them. And again, it's cheesy as fuck, but it's just all
Fucking
about
brilliant, though.
yeah. But he's too late for someone, though, isn't he?
Oh, he is. I was devastated.
Because
I,
there was a landslide, rocks were falling, and there was, and again, it was brutal as fuck. Like
It
Lois,
really was. And
yeah,
his reaction is really guttural. Like it
yeah,
comes from his toes.
yeah.
Lois is dead.
Yeah, so Lois dies. A car falls into like some kind of chasm because the Earth opens up, but then starts with him closing the Earth back again. Technically, he's closing the Earth on Lois, and she's been
Mm-hmm.
buried alive and crushed at the same time.
Ouch.
And
Yeah.
you think it's just going to be a small glimpse. This goes on for a good 2 to 3 minutes of Lois going screaming for help until he realizes and he flies like a speeding bullet towards her, and he doesn't make it in time.
He doesn't. So not even he
Mm-hmm.
was fast enough to get there.
Yeah.
But after he's bit Scream, he comes to the realization that maybe, just maybe,
Mm.
he could put things right.
But it kind of foreshadows this earlier on in the movie
Does
because
it?
when he's talking to Jarrell, Jarrell, Marlon
Jor-El.
Brando,
Uh-huh.
he tells him like he is a great power. He can do things that no mortal can
Yes.
do, and basically he says, but you cannot mess with human history. You
You
cannot.
can't mess with natural law.
Yes. So he tells him these things. He says, so he puts stakes on it, and this is again probably one of my only problems with watching the movie back,
Mm,
because he decides that he's going to go back and change natural law because physics. He decides that if he flies around the Earth the wrong way, making the Earth spin the wrong way, that turns back time.
yeah. Did you
So
not know that?
yep. So apparently,
Science.
science be damned. So yes, so Superman, because originally this was meant to be the ending for Superman 2. So
Hmm.
as we said earlier, Superman 1 and 2 originally were being filmed back to back. So they were
Yes.
going to make part 1 and part 2. They were going to come out pretty close to each other. There was going to be a
Yes.
two-parter because back in the days, a lot of Superman films or Superman like shorts were two-parters. Like you would say, can Superman save this world? Can Superman do this? Find out next
Find
time.
out
That
next week.
so
Yeah.
that was supposed to be like the kind of cliffhanger type thing as well. But as I said, we ran out of budget, so that they had to scrap the film in part 2 up to 70%. Was the
Yes.
that was the Richard Donner 70%.
And that
So I had this
is what
plan
I've seen.
for end of Superman 2. They went, right, we don't know if we're going to make Superman 2 because we've stopped. We're going to put that ending now, so it kind of
Hmm.
puts a full stop. Because I don't know, I think it was going to be on a cliffhanger and lead into
That makes, and then lead into Superman 2. That makes a lot of sense,
yeah.
given the production of this. Because, to be honest, at the time, it wasn't unheard of, but it was very unusual to do it the way that they were going to do it.
Mhm.
Just to give you something as well, the entire prologue of the Adventure of Superman from 1952 is used in this movie.
Right, so that's interesting. I did not know that.
So, you ready?
Cool.
Faster than the speeding bullet. Clark catches the bullet.
Right.
So, when
In
the
the alleyway.
guy
Yeah.
in the alleyway, more powerful than a locomotive, Superman becomes the train track.
Yes.
Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. He catches Lois Lane from the helicopter. Superman, strange visitor from a distant planet. The infant Kal-El being sent from Earth from the dying Krypton. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers.
Yep.
The flooding.
He stops the flood by
He stops the
causing a
flooding.
landslide. Yep.
Ben Steele in his bare hands. He spends the railway road and that's when he becomes the train track. And
Superman
who
didn't run a train on anyone. Just putting that out there.
No, oh no. And who disguised as Clark Kent, technically he is Clark Kent, the Kents adopted him and made him Clark, fights a never-ending battle of truth, justice, and the American way. He literally says that to Lois Lane.
Yeah.
And the entire trial, oh no, that's my other note. But
Right.
yeah, that's the whole prologue from the 1952 Superman is all put into here. So it's a lovely little touch.
Goosebumps, Sammy.
Oh.
Give us goosebumps.
Oh my gosh. I thought it's a lovely little touch and a lovely little nod to the George Reeves Superman and bringing it into this. I love when people do that. I feel like there's a lot of love. I feel that's when the love gets put into things. This is not just money grabbing, like, oh, let's just, make everything adventurous and stuff like that. It's like there's love being put in there.
Yeah. Because as I said before, with Superman, it's hard to relate to him. It's hard to be the thing. So when they put these kind of stakes at the end of the movie, this is why this movie works so well, because the stakes are so high. They push Superman to his limits to the point where he breaks that natural law. And even when he's about to do it, they do, like I say, that you can see, like must be like a Simba moment where you've got Cloud, Jor-El telling basically
Don't do it.
basically telling that there's going to be like consequences, but there isn't.
Don't do it.
But
Nope, there's not.
There's no consequences for those actions. So again, it's a kind of like a false flag. You kind of want it to be like what them consequences are going to be, but it
Mm.
doesn't kind of fulfill that promise. It could have been if they like planned on do Superman 3. Well, they do Superman 3 and 4, but that's a whole heap of shit that goes down
It
and causes
it
so many
is,
problems and stuff like that.
and
But yeah.
it's a sad time for Christopher Reeves on doing them films, because you know what he could have been doing instead of doing them movies, because he was contracted into doing them. That was part of the the golden handcuffs of Superman 1 and 2, was that you do 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But what he could have been doing
Mhm.
was The Running Man
Yeah.
and Total Recall.
I would have liked
That's what
him
he
in.
had.
I would have liked him
That's
in
what he had.
Running Man. I think the Running
That's
Man
what he
would
had
have
to turn
worked.
down.
Yeah.
But that's what he had to turn down in order because he was doing 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Superman 2, 1980.
Yes.
Do you want the taglines?
Go on, go for it.
I wonder if I can actually say them. Miraculously freed from eternal orbit, the three outlaws from Krypton descend to Earth for the ultimate confrontation. The adventure continues. That's it.
All right.
The three outlaws, the three outlaws from Krypton descend to Earth to confront the Man of Steel in a cosmic battle of world supremacy. And the last one, no, second of last one, the Man of Steel meets his match.
Yes.
And the last one, the Man of Steel is back and better than ever.
Well, technically, it was kind of right. It's weird with this one because after watching it again today, because I always have fond memories of 2, but I think that's because of Terrence Stamp and
Yes.
General Zod being one of the most one of the best villains we've had in superhero anything.
Totally agree. I have seen this movie more times than I care to tell people because this is one of my dad's favorite films. The reason I didn't want to jump into John Williams' score is because I wanted to mention him in this one. So we all know John Williams did the original score. He doesn't actually come back for this one, because he got Empire Strikes Back,
which is understandable.
Yeah, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
But he gave permission for his themes to be used, and he actually recommended the composer Ken Thorpe, who goes on to do the second one, because it was because he's one of John's close friends. Another interesting thing I found out: so Star Wars has been shot around about the same time as this film. So if you didn't know, Superman 1 and 2 is actually shot in Pinewood Studios in London.
Yeah.
And Star Wars was being shot at the same time, and more closer to the second bit, like towards the end of what you would class as the production, regardless if it's 1 or 2, because it's all shot at the same time. But the set designer John Barry collapsed on the set of Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and he does the set designer for Superman. He actually died on the first day of shooting. Isn't that crazy? I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was just reading it. This movie, this production for the second one is just shrouded in disappointment and sadness over Richard Donner's firing.
Yeah.
And when I read Margaret Kiddo didn't take it very well. She really missed Richard Donner and the encouragement that he used to give her, and the fact that she felt like a bit of a fraudster. She was being paid an awful lot of money for very little work because she'd already done it all with Richard Donner. So she was a bit disheartened with the whole process, but I get a feeling that a lot of people were, like Christopher Reeve certainly was.
Yeah. And again, because this, like, they keep saying the Superman movies are cursed movies. There's a lot of bad things that happened after it and certain things that happened during shooting as well. Just to get, because there's a lot of rumors, a lot of naysay, and a lot of shit thrown out at a lot of different people, and some people don't actually deserve it. Just like the I can't get his name right now. Bear with me. I'm just going to get this because, bless him, he gets all the hate from the Richard Donner fans, and I don't think it's kind of deserved.
Richard Lester.
Richard Lester, that's one I've got. Because he came on to try and help, like, because he was brought in when Superman 1 and 2 was being filmed because, as I said, they were going over budget, and it was supposed to be like there was problems between Donner and the studio. He was supposed to be like a go-between to try and help support and kind of help fix. And Lester was actually a friend of Donner as well.
Mhm.
So there's rumours kicking about saying that Lester scrapped all of what Donner did just so they could get sole directors credits.
Oh.
That
Mhm.
wasn't true. The movie was only filmed 70%. There
Mhm.
was reshoots, and the writers actually changed certain elements or certain things. He basically reached out to Richard Donner to try and get them to do a shared credit.
Right.
Richard Donner said no. Um, Lester did rewrite a lot of different stuff due to the Soul Kids wanting the film to stand more on its own. They thought the beginning bit, as I said, we'll talk about the nuclear bomb that got sent out of space. The original idea was that bomb was going to go off in space, and that would trigger the uh, the the General Zod and them being what's it called, the neutral, being in the neutral zone,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
explode, and then to see where it come from, to come to
Mhm.
Earth. They said, "Oh, there's been too much time between the movies. People won't remember that." Even though when you watch the film, there's a fucking full rehash of everything that happened in that movie before the film starts. So
You
again,
you
that
literally get the whole scene. You get like I didn't need to watch the end. It
yeah,
was there.
yeah. So that basically was the studio's reason, saying that that's why the Richard Donner beginning is completely like it's probably over in a couple of minutes because it's like the nuclear bomb goes into space, it releases them, and they head towards Earth. This one, they do a really convoluted thing about some terrorists taking over the Eiffel Tower, which is funny. It is good. It is well done because it ramps up the tape. They've sent Lois Lane to Paris to get there because apparently you can get a Metropolis to Paris within 30 minutes rather than like with this terrorist taking across. And she gets herself on the elevator, which is just one of the funniest things, especially if you see the elevator going up and you see like a mannequin of Lois Lane on the bottom, and she's just keeps saying to herself, "Put spies, put spies." But then then Superman takes the bomb, throws that in space, and that's how they get it out. So that was the big difference and the big changes. But again, just to give Lester his due, he wanted Donner to have as much credit as he did. He didn't want like sole credit. It was the studio and them behind it that took Richard Donner's name
Something's
off it.
yeah. They're very bitter about it.
Yeah.
And the minute I heard, before I even started reading into the whole Richard Donner fire and malarkey, I was like, oh look,
Mm-hmm.
another film where Richard Donner doesn't get on with people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe it might just be him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
No, no, it's
It's
not.
really, really not.
I know. There's a lot of shit that's gone out with different actors as well. Like Margot Kitty stood up for Richard Donner, and that's why she
Yeah.
was like had a less part in Superman 3. She was basically
Mhm.
just in it for a cameo.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, because when he started asking people to come back and film the scenes, Gene Hackman point blank refused. So everything you see Gene Hackman in on Superman 2 is being filmed by Richard Donner because he respected Richard Donner so much. He went, no, fuck yous. I'm not coming back. I'm not being made like say I'm proud of the stuff I did. I'm not.
Mhm.
Christopher Reeves wasn't too fond of Richard Donner from like the way he was seen. So he was quite okay with the change, which is again because people say, "Oh, Richard Christopher Reeves was like kicking off and stuff like that." No, um, Sarah Douglas, who played Ursula, was the only
Mhm.
main character that went on the press tour. All the rest
Yeah.
of the refused to go, which is hilarious.
Yep, she was
But
the only one who did it.
mm,
Yeah, Christopher Reeve, he didn't have the greatest time with Donna,
no,
but I think that might be leading man
mhm,
and director button heads because he had the same issues that Reeves had as he did with Bill Murray on
mhm,
Scrooge, and it might just be Richard Donner's way of
mhm.
handling his leading men that they
Yeah,
just did not get on with each other. You don't know, you'll never
no,
know.
no.
I mean, Richard Donner's still alive, right?
Think yeah, he is. Yeah, because he says
Yeah,
he
he did the
says
Goonies reunion. He did the Goonies reunion.
yeah. No, I think yeah, he's definitely still alive. Probably just killed him off now, but that's still.
No, he's definitely is. Oh my God, don't say that. No,
The
the
Grim
Goonies
Reaper Sammy has
reunion.
killed them all off now. It's fine.
You don't call me Donna. But yeah,
Mhm,
um, I was going to say, yeah, no, he was on the Goonies reunion. The
Mm.
one that Josh Gad did in lockdown. Richard Donner is definitely on there. He's not on there very long because he does not understand Zoom at all,
Mm-hmm.
but he is there. But yeah, it could have just been leading man syndrome. Like I say, he has a very there's a open stories about what happened with him and Bill Murray on Scrooged.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get any
Yeah.
bad word against him about the kids from the Goonies, though.
No.
Fucking loved him.
Yeah, like say the Goonies just said all the feedback he used to give them big eyes. That's all they used to say. Just like look like you're shocked, look like you're surprised a lot. But
I can do that.
um, but yeah, if you what's weird is because people always talk about these two movies. We didn't get the Richard Donner cut to 2006
Yes,
when
it was
yeah.
it was Let Slip that it was actually there.
Mhm.
Someone who did the interview. Um oh, I had it written down somewhere. It was Margaret Kidder who actually said in 2004, you do know that there's a Richard Donner
Mhm.
version out there. And people were like, "What?"
What?
She went, "Oh yeah, it's somewhere out there. You can find it if you want to." So a petition was started. This is before the Snyder Cut even fucking was a thing. The website, a website was set up to start a petition to Warner Brothers, who
Mhm.
then caved and got the footage,
Mhm.
re-edited it, and made the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 in 2006.
You know what was the catalyst for them allowing it though? Because there was only thing because
No,
they
I
were
didn't get that part.
they were terrified of one person, or well, not one person because he was dead, of his family getting all the
Oh,
royalties to
Brando.
it. Because in Brendan Roth's Superman Returns,
Yeah.
the Marlon Brando family released, uh, allowed them to use footage of Marlon Brando in that movie, and in that moment,
Right.
it gave them the opportunity to recut the Donner cut. So because we got the Brendan
Oh.
Roth Superman Returns, we now
Hmm.
got the Richard Donner cut of Superman.
Ah, okay. Because when you said that he wasn't in Superman 2, I was like, he was in the one I watched. But
Mm,
I didn't bring it up because I do appreciate that I watched a separate cut to
yeah,
what was intended for
yeah.
audience to see.
So the one that was the theater release didn't
Uh-huh.
have any Brando on. Instead of like at the start where you see the
The
Zod,
recap.
it's got them. It's just got Zod and them and the council. Brando's not in
Right.
there. When Superman's getting put on the baby Superman's getting put on the ship, Kal-El, it's his mother. When the in the Fortress of Solitude, and again we haven't even mentioned the Fortress of Solitude. What a fucking set piece! Absolutely beautiful.
What a design work. What a
Or
sorry, but even Krypton,
yeah,
what a use of colors to make
yes,
something different without overdoing it. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, it's beautiful. Sorry, go on. You
No,
think.
perfect. Um, they used Clark's mother as all them. That like I said, so you didn't see Brando like telling. So when uh, Lex Luthor invades the Fortress of Solitude, instead of Brando talking about Krypton, it's got someone telling a poem about a tree to try and learn. So it's got another council member. So it's got like say that quite thing, but it was always Clark's Kal-El's mum telling them about like what's happening or how to
No, yeah.
use the chamber to become human. Now, from the two versions, the original theatre cut has more comedy. It's more light. It's very TV child friendly.
Hmm.
There's a lot more jokes that was added in. The Richard Donner one is very straight laced. It's got a few elements that's funny, but it's very
Hmm.
dark. It's very on the same path as Superman 1. So it kind of, if you watch Superman 1 and watch that, the continuity feels a little bit better. It doesn't feel disjointed. Where if you watch Superman 1 and then watch Superman 2, there's elements to it that you feel, oh, this is not quite gelling with the first one, or the first one doesn't gel with the second one. It
Yeah.
it's an interesting one, but the Richard Donner one is more true to the vision that you get from Superman 1.
I continued watching the Donna one because I felt like I should.
Mm-hmm. There's
Like I
not
could
a
have quite easily
there's not a
gone and
wrong
find the other one.
yeah, there's not a wrong way. The Richard Donner one is actually a shorter movie. I think it's about
Yeah,
20
and I
minutes
think
shorter, I
that's
think.
and I think that's what I appreciated. But it was I just felt like given everything that I'd read about what had happened, I was like, I feel like I ought to Donna to watch this and see his vision through to the end because I've watched the first one and I was invested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear Loki, but he's going on silly.
No, it's fine. Can I hear him?
But can you?
No, you can't.
Oh, thank God for that because he's got an awful meow. But yeah, I just felt like I ordered to Donna to see his vision through to the end, and that's how I wanted to do this. For this episode.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of aspects that to this movie. It's not really rocket science. Like there's a few key things, but let's spend some time on the main bad guys now, because Zod makes his
Yes.
full appearance, and literally the brutality and fear he brings, and Terror Stamp is terrifying.
I love Terrence Stamp. He is such a product of the 70s. Um he was very much like a playboy of playboys of London. He was like, he was so beautiful. He's still
Mm.
so beautiful. He's got such a beautiful face.
He was very goth in this as well. So
Oh, I love the look. I love but they are very Star Trek villains to me. That look, that sleekness that they all have. It took me a while to be able to look at Terrence Stamp and go, Priscilla.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and he was even beautiful in that as well. Yeah, I love the look of these guys. These are probably very influential to me growing up because of the how goth they are. Because like I say, I watched this quite a bit. It's one of my dad's favorite films. So to see these, it's like, oh, interesting. The guy Jack O'Halloran who played Non,
Yeah.
he said that Superman didn't kill Ursa, Zod, and Non at the end of the film.
Right. Okay.
He told Yahoo Entertainment that Richard Donner filmed extra scene that confirmed all three villains survived.
Right. Okay. I don't think I've seen that scene, or it's never been released. I don't know.
Yeah, but he said it was in 2021. He said that the villain survived and they were carted off to a into a prison in the
Right.
Phantom Zone. I can't even say that word.
Yeah.
But the scene was cut for both the theatrical version and the completed Richard Lester after Richard Donner departed. Richard Donner's 2006 version didn't have it in either.
No.
It was kind of lost apparently.
I would like to think that because there were such good bad guys, killing them off doesn't make sense. And it's always like you say when you watch a super movie, when they fall into the abyss or like into the cloudy thing, you don't know where they're going or how they're gonna like say to try and what happened to them. But the whole like terrifying of General Zod and how because how it plays out is just great. But then you get the two versions of this movie. This is where you kind of get a little split because in the Richard Donner cut, you get Lois questioning Clark and Superman from the get go. From the minute they're in the
Yeah.
office, she's kind of putting two to two together and starting to work it out.
It's when she starts drawing on him, when the Superman, and she starts putting a suit on him and a hat on him,
But
and she
that's
still can't bring herself to do it, to see it.
yeah, so that's not in the theatre cut.
Right.
So this is where like the differentiates. In the theatre cut, she doesn't start questioning it until Niagara Falls. When the kid falls off and Superman carries the kid off, picks up, saves him, and just flies away. Then Clark picks back up and she goes, "It's funny, you and Superman are never in the same place." And again, there's two different ways she gets Superman to work him out. There's the very dark and sinister Richard Donner way, which is
Where she
quite
jumps out the window.
no, because he finds out a way of getting around that where she doesn't think. The Richard Donner one is basically she gets a gun and she points the gun at him and says,
Yes.
um, if you're not Superman, if I shoot you, you're going to die. And she fires, and then Superman's a bit disappointed. He takes his glass off and says, "Well, Lois, if I wasn't Superman, you've just killed Clark Kent." And she smacks, goes, "Well, not with a blank." In the Richard Donner cut, she try because there's two things to replace. So I'll come back to the one that you said about the window.
The window.
Yeah, Clark drops something in the fire, and he grabs the fire, grabs his hand in the fire because he's like just reflexes to put his hand in to get the thing out. And Lois is going, "Oh God, your hand must be hurting. You must be burnt." And Clark's like hiding his hand, saying, "No, no, you can't look at it. It's a mess. It's horrible." And she manages to like get him to show his hand, and it's
There's
nothing
nothing there.
there, and it's kind of like a sweet moment, and she's kind of realizing. And then he goes, he takes the glasses off, and that's kind of like how they brought it out. So it's more light. But the two scenes that they again replaced as well, the one where she jumps out the window, because if you're Superman, if you're not, this was back at the Daily Planet. If you're not Superman, I'm gonna die. So she jumps out the window, and he runs down, pulls down this like thing so she lands and runs back up, so she doesn't notice.
That's one I've seen.
The one that they did for the theatre one, because they thought jumping out of a window committing suicide was too bleak and too not very nice, which I can understand. They did a jumping in a river next to Niagara Falls, and she's get, "Oh, if you're not Superman, I'm going to drown," and he jumps in. Well, she jumps in the water, and he goes all Clark and says, "Oh, Lois, someone help, falling down the river." And she's like, "Help me, help me!" And he kind of does his fire vision to cut a branch off a tree, so the branch lands in the water. And he goes, "Oh, Lois, swim to that, get hold of that," and she kind of drifts back into the land, and she's like, "Well, you're not Superman because I'm nearly dead." And Clark,
Dick.
in Clark pulling Lois out of the water, he falls in himself and starts pretending that he can't swim. So it's kind of like Clark being a buffoon. So there's two elements that they do thing. There's the Richard Donner one, which is very dark, very sinister, and quite quite bleak. And there's the fun, lightheartedness one of the theatre, which I totally get why. That's more family friendly compared
and
to
that's the route that we're going down, was the family friendly route. In this one, in the original theatre cut, was it a case of he give up all of his powers for her?
Yes, but they did it
And
in
become a
reverse order.
regular Joe.
So
Right.
they did it reverse bit where she tells him he loves in the theatre one. She tells him he loves him, so he takes it as the thought of such a solitude. He has a meeting with his mum, who says, "Well, to be with a human, you've got to be human or be mortal," type thing. So he goes into the red kryptonite. The son of the son of the thing says, "Your powers are gone," and he blows up. Then he spends the night with Lois. In the Richard Donner one, he spends the night with Lois, then decides things. So it's
That's
like a
it.
little bit reverse order, a little bit moving around. Which
That's how I saw it. Was in the Fortress of Solitude, in that beautiful crystal. It just see, Supergirl was my thing.
Yeah.
Growing up, I love that movie. Like for oh, what's her name?
Kristen, 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 I can't remember.
No, I'm not thinking of Supergirl. The baddie. What's her name?
Morgana or something like that, wasn't it? Or I don't know.
Oh, I'm thinking of the actress, man. Bloody Mummy Dearest herself. Is it Farrah Fawcett? No, it's not Farrah Fawcett. Fucking hell. What's her name?
Let's have a look there.
It's really going to bother us.
Sorry, I'll find it for you. So.
Oh, Faye Dunaway. Oh my god, that would have done my head in. Yeah, Faye Dunaway was like that. It reminds us of that set design. So when I look at the Fortress of Solitude and Krypton, I'm like transported back to the Supergirl era.
Yeah. Now, again, with everything you get Lex playing his plans, and like, I'll be honest, he's more Lex Luthor in these movies than he is in the first one, because he's plotting. He's like, right, I want to beat Superman. I want to take him down. How I want to do it, I'm going to be in league with Zod, who's now showed his powers to the world. The powers have basically kneeled before Zod, because Superman's been away having this kind of like being, I don't want to use this word selfish, being human, being allowed to enjoy
Yeah,
being human, and in the process losing his powers, changing to mortal, and going to a truck stop, and one of the most brutal scenes ever, gets into a fight with a
awful,
trucker, and see Clark uh, have this shit proper kicked out of him to the point where he's
brutalized.
left in this bloody mess. And again, it's just the way it plays out is just horrific. And again, you expect Superman or at least Clark to be able to defend himself, and you realize that Clark really can't. That's the
No,
thing. In
he really can't. He's
mm,
just a bumbling little nerd who he takes one hell of a beating. This was in a diner in
mhm.
the Donna version, because he took his seat next to Lois.
It's the same.
It's
That bit's
exactly the
exactly the
same.
same scene for scene.
Yeah, I do like the end though, where he
Yes,
walks back in.
that's
I think
it's
you're in
a
my seat, buddy.
yeah. And he kind of everyone's looking. He beats well, doesn't beat up the trucker. Lets the trucker beat himself up by hitting him and breaking his hand, and then picking
And
him
then
up
he
and
like goes,
flicking
"Take
him.
this order to go."
Go yes. And he said everyone's looking at him. He's like, yeah, I've been lifting,
It's the
been
fact that he just goes, "Yeah, I've been working out."
yeah, been working out
I
with
love it.
Darth Vader. That's why it's been pumping the irons. Um, so there's if we were reminiscence of the Man of Steel here. So because Man of Steel had Zod in as well, where when
Mhm,
Superman and Zod battle in Man of Steel, it causes so much destruction and chaos. It's just over the top. Superman would never allow like a comic Superman, the Superman I know I grew up with, would never kind of allow that kind of destruction willingly. And this
mhm,
is where Superman in this movie, or Christopher Reeve Superman, makes you'd realize why he's Superman, because he's having a fight in New York,
New
sorry, not
York.
New York, Metropolis, and well, it is
Mhm,
basically New York, shall we say? Um,
it is.
and basically Zod and them realize Superman's weakness and saying he cares for these people, so they start targeting him and start causing chaos in New York, in
Mhm,
Metropolis. Sorry. So Superman makes a decision. I'm not going to have this fight here. I'm going to go back to the Fortress of Solitude and plan this out, which again, a lot of people think, oh, don't turn the back, but think Superman's a coward for running away, but he's not. He's realizing these baddies, these super villains, and again, I can't use that term any better because this is what they are, super villains to the degree,
mhm,
are using his greatest weakness, which is humanity, against him.
yeah.
So he outsmarts them and says, right, I'm going to take this to a place where there's no like boundaries. There's nothing I have to
Mhm,
I worry about or stop about like kind of fighting or and doing there. And it's done to a degree where he even shows all three of them, because you think, oh, there's three super Kryptonians that Superman's fighting against. No way he's going to think. He shows he's more powerful than all three of them put together, to the point where
yeah,
the only way they get the upper hand is by using his humanity again, by using Lois.
yeah. There's a scene in the Donovan, and I'm going to say in the Donovan because it's the one that I watched, where they're in the White House,
Mm-hmm,
and it shows the effortless movement of these three villains against the amount of infantry
mm-hmm,
that these had against them, and it was her, it was the oh, just
yeah,
flicking people out the way, pushing like
mm-hmm,
with for and Terrence Stamp as well, even him getting his like hands dirty, like even Zod chipping in because he was just standing there at one point just watching it all unravel,
mm-hmm,
and then someone comes behind him out the like a window and he just
mm-hmm,
oh,
yeah,
it's like flies to him, and I
yeah,
love the effortlessness
mm-hmm,
from them in
yeah,
that fight scene
mm-hmm,
because it really does come like back to play later on at the end when that means nothing compared to this Kryptonian.
yeah. Like the main Kryptonian, like the one that was
Uh-huh.
basically here. But again, it's done so well, and again, it's not just Brawn as well, because he gets back to the Fortress of Solitude. You think like Lex Luthor's been told that he's going to be killed by Zod, so he kind of runs over to Superman and says, "Superman, we need to try and work out what to do." And he goes, "We need to trick them into getting them into this pod." And like this, it's so bad, but it's
It's
so
so good
yeah,
though.
yeah. And then Lex turns on Superman as of course he would, and goes, "Hey, don't listen, it's a trap." And the force Christopher Reeve Superman to go into the pod to get his pod powers removed, but it's not. He's reversed it so everyone outside of the pod gets their powers removed. And it's kind of like that turning point where Superman's playing them again. He comes out. He could have just kicked their asses straight away, but he wanted to make sure that everything worked. So he kneels before Zod, and Zod holds out his hand, and just that sound of Superman crushing Zod's hand,
His hand.
and Terra Stamp realizing he's feeling pain for the first time is
Yes.
just oh,
It's the
mwah.
look down. It's the looking down at the hand, and it's like it's like a very slow realization because he won't know what pain feels like.
No.
So it's like, oh, it was brilliant. Like Terrence Stamp played that, like played that part just amazingly.
Mhm.
I really wish we got a chance to like see a whole like series of him.
A series of Stamp just basically
Yeah.
kicking ass as Zod. But yeah, but um, then this is where I think your version is going to differ to mine. But again,
Okay.
I didn't watch the full ending of the Richard Donner one. I've read about it,
Mm-hmm.
but this is where, and again, I do think it's the weak spot for this movie.
Right.
So after it's all said and done, Superman's won. The like I say, the bad guys have like I say fallen into the abyss. We don't know where they've gone.
Mm-hmm.
He takes Luther back to jail. Um, he's basically drops off Lois Lane, who's devastated. She realizes that she can't be with him because there's like the world needs him more, so she's jealous of the world.
Yeah.
That's where she
Yeah.
kind of portrays it. And they go back to the Daily Planet. It's just ruins, and they share a moment that she pours her heart out to him, and he tells her like how he feels, and he kisses her, and it's a like a really amazing movie moment, a beautiful kiss. For some reason, after he kisses her, she forgets everything. She doesn't know that he's Superman. She doesn't know what's happened because she instantly goes back to Lois Lane, talking about interviewing Superman and that Clark's a really nice guy,
Oh
and
my God, is that the Donna version?
that's the original version. That's not the Donna version. That's the theater version.
Because they do end up. So he does that whole scene plays out, but
Mhm.
and they do go back to the Daily Planet, but I can't remember if she remembers him or not.
Because I'm sure, and again, I would be wrong. I don't know if I'm because the way that Donna wanted this to end, and again, I've not seen. I've just read about it. The end of Superman 1, where he goes back in time to save
Hmm.
Lois, he does that again to make her forget about him being Superman.
I think because it does the back in the Daily Planet, and it's like nothing happened, but
Hmm.
it's not. It's not said that that's what he's done,
Right, okay. So,
and then it ends.
right, okay, possibly. But I know when I read about it, that's what it
Hmm.
said the Donna version was meant to end, that he went back and done the same thing as what he did on Superman
Mm,
1 to turn back the time, just so that everyone kind of forgot about what had happened and kind of, but with the original one, he just kisses her and she kind of doesn't know, but it doesn't explain what he's done with the kiss.
yeah.
Has he got magic powers where he can erase people's memory with a kiss? Is the kiss that fantastic and knocks you back memory wise for your days? But again,
Might do, you know.
for like I say, movie magic and stuff, that's one of the moments where it kind of takes you out and kind of
Yeah.
leaves you a lit. Uh, they could have done like a lot more. They could have just like say they didn't have to make Lois forget he was Superman, because again that would have led into more interesting
Yeah.
conversation, or like saying I didn't want her to forget he's Superman, because again
I didn't.
that's a
That's
relationship that needs to grow because there's no point going back, if that makes sense.
It's a bit of a slap in the face for the audience as well.
Yeah.
You've gone on this kind of like journey with them to where, and she was cool with it.
Hmm.
Like, she wasn't telling no one. So to take that away from like the
Hmm.
audience as well is quite, ah,
Hmm.
don't like that. Don't
But
like that.
yeah, I'm just trying to have a quick look just to see because
I generally can't remember now. I do remember the whole case and the fact that she said that we can't be together, the world needs you more, and then it
yes,
was the diner scene.
right, because it says some say that the Richard Donner's cut ending ruins the movie because it makes no sense for Superman to reverse time again. Others say the theatrical version ending is more emotional and beautiful. A heartbreaking final goodbye between Lois and Clark. But again, it's just like losing the memory. If they just had it as saying we can't be together,
Hmm.
full stop. That again is a great way to kind of play it out. And again, I don't know, but the diner scene at the end is fantastic when he goes back and gives the bully his kind of comeuppance. Because again, Superman is pure. Superman is all about the truthness. But again, if you've been wronged or anything like that, and you can
Hmm.
kind of fix it, why the fuck wouldn't you do it?
I love the fact that he went back, and I love the fact that when he punches his stomach, it's his face.
Mhm.
And I think we just like Superman in himself, like Clark Kent is nerdy. Superman in himself is cheesy.
Yeah.
His one line is "Hello there." Um, his his one line isn't everything. It's just brilliant. And
But
there's a lot of
he likes pink.
Superman.
He likes pink.
He does like pink.
He does like pink.
Why would he not? But when Superman, there's a lot of Superman in that moment, even though he's Clark Kent.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I did love that. I don't get us wrong. I like the second one. Has
Mhm.
very high regards in my dad's movie wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But for me, Superman one was far superior,
Hmm.
more fun. Felt like it for all this aimed at kids. It felt like a grown up comic book movie.
Yeah. That. Sorry, I'm choking now.
Choking on your what are you eating?
Chocolate buttons.
How can you choke on a chocolate button? It melts. It literally melts.
Cadbury sponsor
My
me now, but yeah.
God.
But yeah. Um. It's. I agree with what you're saying. I think growing up, I always had this thought that Superman 2 was the best movie because of Zod and because of
Yeah.
like the fight scenes and stuff. But as an emotional impact and as a storytelling,
Yeah.
Superman 1 is so close to being perfect. Like,
If
for,
not,
mm,
it's like there's a few little bits I could have changed.
mhm,
But apart from that, the ride that you went on
yeah,
was just brilliant. The
mhm,
music, the score throughout just keeps you gripped.
yeah,
Yeah, I think Superman 1 was the
mhm.
better one for me.
No, again, it's it's like saying, oh, it's like a 9 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10. Uh, it's,
Mm,
it's like you can't really complain. You go
mm,
through an emotional journey as well, because I know you try and take out the fact that you know what happened after this movie, and we're going to talk about that now when we talk about this documentary. It's very hard to distance your feelings about that when you see
yeah.
these movies. But and
Yes.
again, I know it sounds cheesy because people think about like comic book movies and stuff like that. At a time where things like you've talked about the Batman, it's very dark. It's very like
Mm,
it's like scary and like adulty, realistic. And then you get the Marvel ones, which are fun, flighty. This one, these movies, and again, it sound cheesy saying it, and I hate saying it. It just gives you so much hope. It gives you hope in humanity. It
it
gives you
does.
hope in people, and it's just pure. And going for it, you get rises, you get smiles, you get invested
You
in these
do.
characters. You shouldn't love Superman, but you do because of the man that is Christopher Reeve.
That's right. And that's
Mhm.
going to lead lovely into probably one of the most. I always thought A Letter to Zachary was the most emotional documentary I've ever seen. This completely
Mhm.
trouses that
Mhm.
documentary. There's a line that he says right at the end, and I managed to pick this up through the sobs that I was going through because I was like, my chest was shaking. I was
Mhm.
that emotional. Like, I was, that's how bad the tears was. But I managed to pick this up, and I feel like this kind of, this just embodies
Mhm.
everything he is.
Yeah.
An interviewer asked him, you know, you're a fully grown man playing a superhero, and he's like, everyone needs a hero, not just 5-year-olds.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, I managed to pick that up
Mhm.
through the tears, and it really stuck with us to where I ended up writing it on my phone so I didn't forget it.
Yeah.
This documentary is, it's beautiful, doesn't even give it its right
Yeah.
word.
It's it could have just been softly and went, oh yes, he's the Man of Steel, he's Superman, look at his life, he had tragedy, oh, feel sorry for him and stuff like that.
No,
It really doesn't. It goes through everything. Like as we were talking before, he goes on then. He, like, from his acting days in the theatre, from his life with, like, Robin Williams, from him being a playboy, for his first marriage and how that kind of came about and ended. It doesn't. Oh, like it's not scared to put the work in and put the warts in, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, this is the ugly side thing. And again, when you say ugly, it's normal, it's human.
yeah,
That's the way I would
there's,
describe it.
yeah,
It's not like he's a nasty or horrible person.
no,
He's a human. He makes
he's human.
mistakes. Yeah.
He's not perfect. It goes into his family background. He doesn't come from the Reeves side of the family is not the greatest. His mother was a very hard woman.
Mhm.
His father is a poet, is an intellect,
Yeah.
who frowned upon everything he did.
Mhm.
It really goes to it shows the kind of man he turned out to be with the sports side of things, not so
Mhm.
much the acting, because he was never going to please his dad with the acting,
Yeah.
but it was the sportsman in him.
Mhm.
He was always trying to one up his dad,
Yeah.
always.
And the thing that stuck with me, if you think, oh, you're going to tell your father, I'm playing Superman, I'm going to be the Man of Steel, I'm going to think, and you would think, I'm proud. This is what Christopher Reeves was hoping to finally make his father proud, and he just went, I'm a bit disappointed. I'm like
He
not.
actually didn't at first. He
Mhm.
turned around and went, "Oh my God, son, congratulations! Let's get the champagne out." Until he realized what he actually was doing.
Mhm.
He thought he was doing a Man of Steel,
Yeah.
which is a play,
Mhm.
which is quite a, highly respected play. I might have gotten the name wrong, and I apologize, but he
Mhm.
then was like, "Oh no, it's the Man of Steel, Superman," and he was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay."
Yeah.
Ew. His dad looked like he looked exactly like his father, but
Yeah.
he was such a hard man, and it really does it. He tries his hardest throughout his entire life as a father himself to not be that man.
Mhm.
Oh, look at that face.
Yeah.
Um, to not be that man, but it's sometimes quite hard because he is competitive.
Mhm.
He is very sportsman, but it, one thing he never wanted to do was
Mhm.
to um be have a divided family. So his first it was he never married the English woman who we met
Mhm.
over here when he was filming Superman, but they did have two kids together who was Matthew and Alexander.
Mhm.
Matthew, who has the most intercontinental accent I've ever heard. Certain words where he sounds English, certain words where he sounds American. And his sister, who they had their life with him, and then their relationship ended, and it was a long relationship, but
Mhm.
it did end, and he ended up meeting Dana,
Yes.
and Dana's the one he married.
Mhm.
And they had Will together. And I forget how young Will was when all this happened.
Mhm. And it's scary now when you look at them now, like the family, like like Christopher Reeve's son is his double. Like
Oh my God, they're
you
the
would think
image.
you would think he was like walking embodiment of him. I know there's like say he's going to be in the Superman, but I'm glad you mentioned his wife as well, because
Dana,
what an
what a woman.
impact, or what, like say, thing, because the heartbreaking things in this documentary, and again I'll try and not tear up, is when the accident did happen, he shouldn't have lived. Like
No.
he had an internal decapitation. His
They
head
had
was
to
fully removed from.
they had to attach it back on. When Anth heard that, he went, "What?"
Mhm,
And I went, "Yeah, they had to attach his head back on. That's
mhm,
how bad it was."
yeah,
Even he didn't realize the severity of it.
yeah. And when he was in the hospital, and it was so hard actually listening to the family talk about this as well, because even he said he was contemplating just saying that that's it, I don't want to go on type thing, and the
They
only
wanted to
reason,
turn the machines off. He
yeah,
wanted to turn the machines off. His mother wanted them to turn the machines off.
yeah, and the only person that didn't, and she said to him, like, say, we can still do this, I will still be here for you, I
Yeah.
will not leave you, is the only reason why he kept going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he actually used the words in the documentary because there's a lot that comes. There's a lot you can hear from him as
Mm-hmm.
after the accident and before the accident,
Mm-hmm.
and he says that when he heard her say that, because she
Mm-hmm.
looked him dead in the eye and said, "I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I love you."
Mm-hmm.
It saved. He said it saved his life
Yeah.
because he decided to kind of fight. And
Mm-hmm.
he does talk about the struggles of the new world that he had to then create for himself, because he was an incredibly active person, and to not be able to do that anymore was probably more devastating than the accident itself. But then he started to, once he got home and his house was, changed to accommodate him, he started to realize that he could actually do things. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just, as much as he was confined to
Mm-hmm.
the chair didn't define him.
No. And
And it's one thing you do learn throughout this whole documentary is that chair did not define that man.
no, no, I think a lot of things were going to define him, but that certainly wasn't going to be the
No.
thing. The things that you learn through this documentary as well is, after the accident, he was very positive. He was very forthright. He was very strong-willed, shall we say. I
Hmm.
think that was probably the thing. And
Yeah.
I know someone's already pointed out in the chat, but he actually admits to himself he wasn't the best father before the
No.
accident, because he was concentrating on his career. And when the accident happened, he realized what was the more important thing, and he became what he described himself, the best father that he could. And he got closer to his children, he got closer to the people around him as well. um when the medical bills, because America, you have to pay for shit over there,
Yeah, and his
start
insurance was only going to last 2 years.
yeah start ramping up, he decided that he would need to go back to work. So he actually directed a movie in that
Hmm.
chair, which
Yeah, he did.
again is breathtaking. I know he did lots of appearances in different shows, different things around. His appearance in Smallville broke me and still kills me at that
It gets
time.
and
Um,
yeah, it
but
gets and we were talking about this the other night where he said that there's been so many, and we mentioned this earlier, so many Supermen, but there will never be him.
mm,
He is synonymous, to the point where there's bits in Man of Steel with Henry Cavill where he is superimposed into the movie.
mm,
Um, there is Smallville. He is always going to be synonymous with this character because the character of the good man
mm,
is him. If that makes sense. If
mm,
I'm very tired and
mm.
I've got a stunting headache.
It's fine. But again, what it showcases is and I keep using this throughout the episode, the hope this man gives. There's a few things in the documentary which we'll talk about, because I think it's important to highlight. When he went to the Oscars,
Yeah.
and yeah,
It's a year after his accident.
Mhm.
Nobody knows he's going to be there, because if something happened, they're not disappointing anyone, and
Yeah.
he can go away, and there's no harm, no foul. So it's all kept under a cloud of secrecy. But obviously, one person in that audience knew. That was his best friend, Robin Williams, and the fear on his face when he comes out. That is genuine fear. Like, he looks scared.
Yeah.
That he is there, exposed. Everyone can see him. He is showing you exactly what has happened to him.
But he didn't want anyone to feel sorry for him. That was the
that was from the very start. He even said at the very start, when he allowed cameras to be in front of him and interview him in his hospital bed, was, "You don't feel pity for me."
No. There's people worse off. That's where
Yeah.
he used to explain it.
And yeah,
and that's when he went to the Oscars as well. He didn't want anyone to feel sorry for him. He wanted
you don't
to
feel
go there.
no.
He went, I'm gonna go there, do what I have to do, and
I got
seeing
chills just thinking about that audience standing ovation, and
Mm.
also the man was a very good public speaker.
Yeah.
Like a really good public speaker. There is even like stuff that he did beforehand. He can grab a room quite easy, and just you can just sit and listen to him.
Yeah.
But when obviously after the accident, them words become a lot more meaningful. And there was one conference where what he did with, because he's very he got very into the stem cell research.
Yeah.
And he pretty much put his life on it.
Yeah.
That this was going to be the cure, because it does explain this in really good detail, that he's looking for the cure.
Yeah.
He's the one, the percentage of people who have a disability, who want to get out of the chair.
Yeah.
What they also explain is a lot of people with a disability who don't, who are very realistic in their prognosis and say, we're here, nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to change. There's a lot of backlash between the disabled community and him, because he was so optimistic that he was going to get out this chair. And why isn't anyone else feeling like this? So their foundation took a little bit of a crash because of that. So Dana then steps in. Dana, who has been there from day one, she is wife, she is mother, she is father, she is caregiver. She looks at the care side of, okay, we can't convince you that this is the answer, but what can we do to help? How do we help you get to places that you need to be, to enjoy the activities that you want to do? How do we do that? And she provided the care side of the foundation. So there was two sides. There was his, there was hers. And it was so beautiful to watch that idea come together, because she does become such a spokesperson, all while being a full-time carer, being a mother. She had to play two parts in everything.
And I know people will look back and say, oh, well, they had the money to do that thing. No, they really didn't.
They really didn't.
Not for the type of care and stuff that
No.
he needed as well. And I know, again, if anyone wants to look into the work that was put in place and that has been continued through the Reeves children from there, it is the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. You can go to www.christopherreeve.org to find out more information on the work, and it's important work as well.
It is.
Because again, to use the word, I think it's synonymous with the man, with everything he's done, the hope that his appearances give to people, that not many people, like, say, as you said, you can either accept your situation in life or accept what's happened and just say, right, this is what's happened, I can be happy, I can accept it. But when you look at someone like Christopher Reeve and what he's been through and how he keeps going forward, you cannot take even the smallest amount of inspiration and think, what's stopping me? I know he's got certain aspects and got to a certain level because he was Superman, but that could have been his lot. That could have been, I'm Superman. This tragedy has happened to me. That is my life. It
Yeah,
didn't.
it's over. Like, this is it. It
Yeah.
really didn't. It goes on. There's the the day when it happened. This is when I finally broke. I mean, I spent the whole entirety of this documentary just internally shaken because you know what the end result is. And it's not a night, it's a sad one. But to hear everything leading up to that point, and this was kind of like the big release for me, is when Dana he had an infection and it went south very quickly to where even Will, his oldest son, wasn't even in the country.
Yeah.
He had to get back from London with his mother because when he realized fatherhood hadn't been as he planned it to be and decided to change all that, he created this big family unit, and that included his ex-partner who he has two children with. And she could, I mean, she was, even when the day came, when they were talking about the day, even she couldn't keep it together. That's the kind of impact this man has. And it's Dana screaming. It's standing in that hospital room because she was like, he's in a few minutes, he's gone. He's never going to hear us again. And just starts screaming at the top of our lungs, I love you. I love you continuously, to when he's no longer there anymore.
Yeah.
That woman is just, do you know what's so sad? She would even, his death wouldn't have, I think it probably in her mind it came many times over.
Yeah.
That she's probably had the thought that this is, I'm going to have to at some point continue my life without him. The thought had to have been there. But it's the fact she gets a year.
Yeah.
She only gets a year. That woman could have done tremendous work.
That's the thing, though. But she did do tremendous work as well. But
I know,
yeah.
but it just felt like she didn't have the time. But yeah, Dana gets diagnosed with lung. She didn't even smoke. Never smoked a day in her life, and she get diagnosed with lung cancer, and she sadly passes away. And again, in what it will say, not Will, Matthew. Matthew's the oldest one, sorry. Matthew said within a short period of time, Will had gone from losing his dad, losing his grandmother, who he was really close with, to then losing his mother. He was literally left with no one. And if it wasn't for his brother and sister who came in and became surrogate parents, he would have been completely on his own. They took him in, and this is where the work that they
continue
start with the family. They literally pick it up.
And this is where the foundation is now, where they're kind of building on that legacy. And again, the documentary showcases them in such a light, but
they are beautiful people.
Yeah, and again, with the documentary like this, you don't expect it to be all flowers and light. And again,
it can't be. You know what the end result is.
Yeah, it's a very honest and reflective, but it's
almost brutally honest.
It showcases what and again, it gets thrown around so easy to say. This man, this legacy defines the word hero.
It does. That's why that phrase at the beginning said, not everyone needs a hero, not just 5-year-olds, kind of stuck with us because it's what he was to a lot of people. He was a hero. He wasn't perfect hero, but he was a hero. It was Glenn Close who kind of got me again when she said, and I know you'd already said this to us at some point, but I think when we were doing the Robin Williams episode, that if Christopher was still here, you would still have Robin Williams.
Yeah, because he would have helped him through what he was going
There's
through. Yeah.
Oh, because he needed to be there. Um, he was every anniversary of his accident. Instead of mourning it, they
Mm,
celebrated it. They held a huge party. The wife that they were referring to is Robin's now or was ex-wife.
mhm,
He was only with the wife who he was with when he died for a few months. They weren't together that long. I think it's Martha.
mhm,
I might have gotten that name wrong, but they were together. That's who he's got
mhm,
his children with. Um, they held a party for him. He used to come into the hospital as characters just to try and catch him off guard.
mhm,
And during his filming of I can't remember which one it was from my notes because I found this out when we did the Robin Williams episode, but he used to ring up every day,
mhm,
tell him a joke, and just put the phone down.
mhm.
He needed to make sure that he'd made him laugh every single day
Yeah.
because that was his gift.
Mhm,
He's
mm.
it's such a beautiful documentary. You will be hard pushed if you don't come out of it an emotional fucking wreck.
But it fills you with light, and again,
It does. It's
yeah.
not a depressing like
No.
sadness.
Mhm,
It's sad because it is sad, and
mhm.
you can't get away from what tragedies this like. This shouldn't have happened to
No.
him. This really shouldn't have happened to him. He was somebody who was literally grabbing life by the throat and just going for it.
Mhm,
And then it just gets taken all away from him. But it's how he looks at it afterwards that kind of fills you with a lot of hope as to, I haven't got that, so why aren't I doing what he's
mhm.
trying to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and just listening to her as well, the
Mhm,
love that she had for this man and what she did.
yeah.
Dana doesn't like in the conversation of Christopher Reeves. Dana kind of is a secondary character, and she shouldn't be
Mhm,
because without Dana,
mhm.
he doesn't get as far as what he did.
No, definitely. I think that's a quite a nice moment to kind of leave that
Oh,
at as well,
let's yep, let's
because
end it, please.
we've got that out there, and just as I said, this
Oh.
man, this legacy, these movies, even the bad ones that followed afterwards as well.
Hey, Switching Channels was a brilliant movie.
I'm talking about Superman 3 and 4.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking Christopher Reeve movies. I was like,
No,
Switching
no,
Channels is brilliant.
no,
Kathleen Turner, Burt Reynolds, it's amazing.
no. Um, it gives everyone from the age of, like, say you could be a kid, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, teenager, adult, that part of whimsy, that part of, like, say, enjoyment, that escapism that movies very rarely do you come upon, that uplifts you in a way.
Yeah.
And that's not just because of how good the movies is how good the performance and how amazing the person that you're watching in this movie is. Because looking at the picture directly in there, you cannot help but fall in love with Superman.
Them eyes, it's
Yeah.
them eyes. There's one interesting fact. I'm really sorry to go back to Superman 1, and it does go from the I need to get this out of my brain. The whole he made you believe he could fly
Mm-hmm.
is because he was a pilot. And the people think that the whole him putting his arm up in the air is a pose. Oh, look at me, I'm Superman. It's not. He uses his hands to navigate as you would navigate a plane.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch him when he's swooping round and he swoops this way and his arm goes up, he's doing all these movements of how he would navigate a plane to fly, and that's how he made you believe he could fly. So I'm so glad I got that. Honestly, if I didn't say that, that
Yeah.
would have sat with us. There's a few things that I'm forgetting to say.
Mm-hmm.
Facts I found out like over the episodes we've done, and they sit with me for a while. That one would have killed us.
No,
Right.
that's fine.
Yes.
It's
Superman.
it's like everything you want it to be. Like, I don't remember a kid after watching this movie in the play yard running around putting the school jumper around the neck. As a kid, the arm used to go in the air. Everyone kind of related to it and gravitated towards these movies. Um, there's just something special. I know
Yeah.
we talk about like it being remade. I'm excited to see the new one.
Oh, me too.
I'm not going to compare the new one to what we had because,
I don't
again,
think you can. And
it's completely like a different element or a different feel. This was very much lightning in the bottle. Again, you could have done this movie a million times if you cast different people, as you mentioned before. It wouldn't have the same magic. It wouldn't have the
no,
same
we
charisma. This
we wouldn't be having this conversation
no,
about Robert Redford playing Superman,
no,
like, or Arnie getting
no,
the opportunity to play the Man of Steel. Like, it wouldn't be happening.
no.
There's a reason these movies have stood the time, and
Mhm.
it comes down to him.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Mhm.
It's him. It's what he brought to the character,
Mhm.
and what he brought after.
Yeah.
He was a real life Superman right the way to the end.
And I'm not going to add anything to that because that finishes that perfect. So,
Oh,
so tomorrow, Sammy.
tomorrow she's back or way back.
Mhm.
Yeah, want to get that one right. Monsters returns tomorrow, 13th of January.
Mhm.
First episode of 2025. Nosferatu. So as much excitement as you're going to get out of us for that one. Yes, we
You got to
returned.
sell the episode.
I can do that. I think it sells itself its name. It's big talk at the moment.
Mhm.
Everyone's talking about it. Yeah, we give our 50
Mhm.
pence's worth of the Nosferatu movie that's just come out. We had this planned literally from the episode ending in
Mhm.
November, the last episode that we did. We knew we were going to do Nosferatu given that the movie was coming out. We just had to be able to time it right
Yes.
because, unlike America, we didn't get a Christmas Day. We got it later.
Yeah.
So, this is the reason why it is as late as what it has been. However,
The changes
things
are
have
hot.
changed. Monsters will
Ooh.
no, Monsters will not be premiering at 8 o'clock. It will actually be available on YouTube from 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. So you've got
Is that right?
all day to watch. Unfortunately, there won't be a live chat.
Mm-mm.
We're just going to put the episode out and you can watch it at your leisure. So,
Watch it at your own pleasure. Leave comments though. Let us know what you think of the episode. It'll be really nice to hear from you all.
mhm.
And the audio for that episode, along with tonight's episode, along with the Women of Nerd Culture, will all be available on Tuesday morning. So if you are listening on audio, please let us know.
Mhm.
Leave a message, a review, a heart, a like, a thumbs up. I don't really know
Mhm.
how it works, but however it does,
Tell Dan you like a new hair, but that's it.
Dan's hair is amazing.
Yeah.
Dan is literally up the hair game for 2025. We've ran through what we're going to do for Monsters for this year, and it's going to be fucking spectacular. So please come and join us for the ride.
Certainly. So next week we are back on Sunday. We have a guest. So the first
Shit,
guest of
yeah.
2025, we've got the Disco Daddy. The
Discord Daddy, I love that name. I think that's like the best name for Lee is the Discord Daddy. Who did make a comment at the end. God, man, look at Sammy having to get an extra faction at the end. Who even does that?
Yeah.
You'll find out next week when he's on.
Yeah, so
Who does that?
We've got Lee joining us for the Running Man. So we are funny enough we've talked about it tonight. So we've got Arnie.
I've used a fax up.
Yep. So we've used one of your facts about the Running Man. So
I am so looking forward to this. I am on such a Stephen King high right now. So I am so looking forward to this. I am nearly finished The Green Mile, by the way.
cool.
I am reading that in record time to where I will have it read by the time we do the episode.
But saying that though, just because you said you're going to read it, I'm going to buy a copy this week and I'm going to read it for when we set out to do that episode as well. So we will have a book review as well as a movie review.
Are we gonna read along? Read along.
Do a read along.
Yeah.
So yes, and the countdown to Doomsday.
Yeah, Countdown to Doomsday. I love that actually. Countdown to Doomsday is back on Saturday, and as Paul teased earlier, it's a big one.
Yep.
It's the end of phase 1. Go on.
it's the Avengers, and again we've got Hobo Lee and myself will be guesting on that episode.
Yeah.
We've got Top Grumps this Tuesday. The best web series that is on the web.
Best web series on the web right now. Like,
Mhm.
if you're not watching this web series,
Mhm.
what are you watching?
And I believe they are doing Hitchcock and Scully, which I am guesting on that. So you've got a lot of Paul this week.
Do you believe they are? Have you? Are you not there?
No, and they might have cut us out. To be fair, they could have just like done a thing, but we do not. We do. So just a spoiler for this episode as well. We don't. We all not only do we touch tips, we touch something else as well. So there's a new touching element to this episode. So you have to check it out.
You need to check out this amazing web series that is on the web. It's on the YouTube. It's on Tuesday. If
That's
you
it.
are watching us,
That's if Lee sends it over. He still hasn't sent us over the episode yet.
Lee, can you sort your shit out, please? Your web series comes out on Tuesday. Needs to be sorted. Thanks. If you are watching us on YouTube, hi. Leave a comment. Let us know how you felt about this episode. How you feel about Christopher Reeve. How you feel about Superman in general. Are you looking forward to James Gunn's Superman? Let us know. We want to know. But if you can, also remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Yes, and that's from the gaffer herself, the boss lady of the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. She's the one who makes all the decisions and has all the fun now, dealing with everyone else.
All the fun.
But yes, so yeah, so a lot planned for the week. That was, I know, a long episode, so we had to talk about.
Yes, thank you for staying with us, but
yeah,
and thank you to everyone in the chat who did end up staying with us all the way through. Appreciate it. Appreciate you listening to us get very emotional towards the end. You could tell it was getting like the conversation was slowing down because I was like, keep it together. Don't do this. You've already cried once on this podcast, maybe 3 times, 4 times. Let's not make it more.
But yeah, but again, just to reiterate from the information we've given you, check out, as I said, the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation at www.christopherreeve.org. There's a lot of information on the good work they do, how they support people with spinal cord injury, advancing research and improving the quality of life for a lot of individuals and families. So again, if you can support or have any way to do it, that would be something I would probably recommend doing as well. But yeah, same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.